הנה מה טוב הוא עושה.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom and welcome. We were expecting to be gathering tomorrow, but due to the threat of rain and other acts of God, we have decided to have today on this most beautiful beach day in the parking lot at Temple Shari Month. And we are here to celebrate these incredible young people, the confirmation class of 2021. 5781. They are a special class, and they are going to take us through a beautiful service today, a reading of the 10 Commandments, a reading of the book of Ruth, and then take us into Havdalah and share with us their wisdom about what this past year has been like. So we welcome you, and thank you for joining us this evening. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. How beautiful it is, whenever, however, when we can come together as a community.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. La 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 la. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. La 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 la. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad.
Welcome to Confirmation 5781. Since October, we've been meeting virtually. We had weekly check-ins on Padlet before class, learned all about the 10 Commandments over Zoom, and attended virtual Religious Action Committee meetings in breakout rooms where we learned about social justice. Today we feel so grateful for all of us to be together in person at Temple Shari Month. Even though we can't be standing on the bima in our beautiful sanctuary, it's so wonderful to be here at Temple. Thank you all so much for being here with us today in prayer and celebration.
Our light is Torah, meets vote are our lamps.
Pleasing are the ways of Torah, and all our paths are peace.
Dark and twisting is the road to peace. Happy the generations whose light will guide them to its end.
The students of Torah bring peace to the world, as it is said.
When all your children are taught of Adonai, great shall be the peace of your children.
The 10 Commandments, a quintessential part of being Jewish, the slices of bread that encompass all of the meats and veggies of this wonderful religion. Also called the Decalogue, the slices of bread refer to a set of principles delivered by Moses to the people about how they should observe and worship Judaism. The commandments may not be historically accurate to some, but have been changed to adapt to today's world. Everything in our lives, believe it or not, has some commandment associated with it. Thou shalt always pay for thy food. Thou shalt always drive on the right side of thy road, and so on. As these commandments enrich our daily lives, so too did they enrich the lives of those before us. Judaism has been built upon these fundamental principles and should continue to be taught for students to learn about how we became Jewish and how we as a people began. It is a tradition to stand for the reading of the 10 Commandments, a reminder that we all stood at Sinai. Please rise.
Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, Udevar Adonai Mirushalayim. Baruch Shenatan Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah Le'amo Yisrael B'kedushato. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo. Baruch Adonai Hamavorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam,
asher b'haranu mikol
ha'amim,
v'natan
lanu et Torah. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Vadaber Elohim et kol hadavarim ha'ele lamor. Anochi Adonai Elohecha asher hotzeticha me'eretz Mitzrayim mibeit avadim. The eternal God spoke all these words, saying, I, the eternal, am your God, who led you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
Okay. Lo yelecha Elohim acherim al panai.
Lo ta'aselecha fesel v'chol hamunah asher b'shamayim mimal va'asher ba'aretz mitachat va'asher b'mayim mitachat la'aretz.
Lo ti'acha ve'Elohem ve'lo ta'utim ki Anohi Adonai Elohecha Elkanah Poked Avot Abanim Ashileshim ve'Oribeim Lesonai.
Ve'ose Hesed la'alafim le'ohavai o lo shamrei mitzvotoi.
You shall have no other God besides me.
You shall not carve yourself an image, the likeness of anything in the heavens above, or on the earth below, or in the waters under the earth.
You shall not worship them or serve them, for I, the eternal your God, am a demanding God, inflicting the sins of the children upon the third and fourth generations of those who hate me.
I show steadfast love to thousands of generations of those who love me and keep my commandments.
Lo titza et shem Adonai Elohecha lashav ki lo yonokeh Adonai ed asher yitza et shemo lashav. You shall not invoke the name of the eternal your God with malice, for Adonai does not hold guiltless one who invokes God's name with malice. Zahor et Yom HaShabbat lekadisho. Sheshed Yamim Tavot Ve'asita Chomelatecha. Ve'yom HaShuvi'i Shabbat L'Adonai Elohecha Lo Ta'aseh Omelacha Ata Uvincha Uvitecha Avdecha Va'amatecha Uvhemtecha Ve'geracha Asher Bisharecha. Ki Sheshet Yamim Asa Adonai et Hashemayim ve'et ha'aretz et hayam ve'et kol asher bam vayanach bayom hashvi'i al kein berach Adonai et yom hashabbat vaykedashehu.
Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy.
6 days shall you labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is Sabbath of Adonai your God.
You shall do no work, you, your son or daughter, your servants, your domestic animals, or the stranger in your community.
For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, the sea and all that is in them. Then God rested on the 7th day. Therefore Adonai blessed the Sabbath day and called it holy.
Kabed et avicha va'et imecha lema'an ya'arichu yamecha al ha'adama asher Adonai Elohecha noten lach. Honor your father and mother so that you may long endure in the land that Adonai your God gives you.
Lo tirza, lo tina, lo tigno, lo ta'anet v'reacha eid sheker. You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor.
Lo tachmod beit reyecha, lo tachmod eshet reyecha, ve'avdo va'amato, v'shoro v'chamoro, v'chol asher l'reyecha. You shall not covet your neighbor's house, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his servants, nor his cattle, nor anything that is your neighbor's. Please be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
We take a moment in our service to say a prayer for those who are ill and in need of healing. We remember all those who have been afflicted with COVID-19, and we pray that they will know a very complete and speedy recovery.
We hold in our hearts all the medical professionals in the hospitals, in ambulances, in offices, and in all the places where healing happens. And we pray that they remain strong and healthy to be able to do their holy work.
We are grateful for all who have created and are administering vaccines to keep us safe and healthy, and we look forward to the day when we no longer worry that COVID-19 will claim the lives of those we love.
Throughout the pandemic, so many have faced health challenges unrelated to COVID-19, sometimes separated from family, healing alone in hospitals without family to support them. Today we call to mind all who are in need of healing and wholeness, be it of their body, mind, or spirit. If there are names of people for whom we should pray, we invite you to say their names aloud now.
May the one who makes healing possible bring a full and speedy recovery to those who are ill. May the doctors and nurses be guided in good health, strength, and wisdom, and may those who care for them find the strength to support them in their time of need. We join together in song and prayer, hoping for all who are in need of healing will find a full and speedy recovery.
Adonai v'nerafeh Hoshienu v'nivashea El karov l'chol kor'ah Ach karov lireah Isho We pray for healing of the body. We pray for healing of the soul, for strength of flesh and mind and spirit. We pray to once again be whole. El Narifana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf, Refuat Shelema. El Narifana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf, Refuah Shelema, heal us now, heal us now, Hoshia et amecha, uvarech et nachlatecha, ureim v'naseh ad ha'olam. Misheberach Avotenu, Misheberach Imotenu, Ana Adonai Hoshiana. We pray for healing of our people. We pray for healing of the land and peace for every race and nation. Every child, every woman, every man. El Narifana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf, Refuat Shelema.
The story of Ruth from Moab is one of the most beautiful in all our literature.
It describes the friendship, the love, and the devotion of two women, Ruth and Naomi.
It praises loyalty to one's family and to one's people. This loyalty plants in human beings the seed of confidence and faith in each other.
And out of the seed of loyalty in human beings to each other grows the sturdy loyalty of humankind to God. The book of Ruth is read in the synagogue during the festival of Shavuot, which creates the ingathering of the first fruits of the harvest.
It recalls the ancient days of our people on the soil of Israel. In the end, it tells how David, the ideal king of Israel, was descending from Ruth, the Moabite woman, who chose to convert to the faith of the Israelites.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
asher bachar
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratav v'divreihem hanemarim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai habocher batorah uv Moshe avdo uv Yisrael amo uvin nevi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek.
Va'i Imei shefot ashofatim, vahi ara'av ba'aretz, vahelech ish mibei, lechem Yehudar, lagur bistei Moav, uvi'ishto oshnei banav.
V'shem ha'ish Elimelech, v'shem ishto Naomi, v'shem shnei banach Mahon, mi Beit Lechem Yehuda, vayavo'u sadei Moab, vahiyu sham.
Vayamot Elimelech ish Naomi, vatishaer hi ushnei banecha.
Vayisu lachem nashim moaviyot shem cha'achat orpa v'shem hashenit Ruth vayeshevu sham ke'eser shanim.
Ve'amutu gam sheneihem machlon v'chilion vatishael ha'isha mishenei yeladecha u'meisha. Vata'akom hi v'chaloteha vatashov misadei Moav ki sham'a Yistei Moav, ki fakad Adonai et amo, latet lahem lachem. Vatetze min hamakom asher hayta shama, ushte halotecha ima, vatelach navaderech, Vashuv el Eretz Yehuda. Vatomer Naomi lishtei chaloteha lech nashodna isha leveit ima. Ya'at Adonai imachem chesed ka'asher asitem. Im hametim ve'im adin. ותישנא חולן ותבכנה.
It came to pass in the days when the judges judged that there was a famine in the land. A certain man of Bethlehem in Judah took his wife and 2 sons to live in the land of Moab. His name was Elimelech, and that of his wife Naomi, and his 2 sons were Machlon and Chilion.
After they lived in Moab for some time, Elimelech died, and Naomi was left without her 2 sons. They married Moabite women named Orpah and Ruth. About 10 years later, Machlon and Chilion both died, and Naomi was left without husband or children.
Mourning her two children, as well as her husband, Naomi set out with her daughters-in-law from the land of Moab to return to Judah, for she had heard that God remembered her people and had given them food.
Naomi said to her daughters-in-law, "Go, return each of you to the home of your mother. May the eternal God be kind to you, as you have been kind to the dead and to me. May God grant that each of you may find peace and happiness in the home of a new husband." She kissed them goodbye, but they began to weep aloud and said to her, "No, we will go back with you to your people."
Then Naomi said, "Go back, my daughters. Why should you go with me? Can I still have sons who might become your husbands? Go back, my daughters. Go your own way, for I am too old to help you have a husband. No, my daughters, I am sorry for you, for God has afflicted me."
They again began to weep, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but Ruth clung to her. Naomi said, "See, your sister-in-law is going back to her own people and to her own gods. Go along with her." But Ruth answered,
"Entreat me not to leave you, and to return from following after you. For where you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. The eternal God, do so to me, if anything but death parts you and me."
So Ruth and Naomi returned to Judah. There Naomi's kinsman, Boaz, married Ruth. In time, God gave them a son. The women of the town said to Naomi, "Blessed be God who has not left you at this time without a near relative, and may his name be famous in Israel." Naomi took the child in her arms, and she became its nurse. The women in the neighborhood said, "Naomi has a grandson."
They named him Obed. He became the father of Jesse, who was the father of David. Because the great King David was descended from Ruth and Boaz, the story of his ancestry is read at this festival time.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol haolamim, tzadik bechol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer ve'oseh, ha'medaber u'mkayem, shekol divarav emet v'tzedek, al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al ha'nevi'im ve'al yom ha'shuvuot hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu l'sason u'l'simcha lechavod u'ltifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach Umvarechim otach, yitbarach shimcha befi kol chai, tamid leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh Yisrael v'hazmanim.
Each of us has a name given by the source of life and given by our parents. Each of us has a name given by our stature and our smile and given by what we wear.
Each of us has a name given by the mountains and given by our walls. Each of us has a name given by the stars and given by our neighbors.
Each of us has a name given by our sins and given by our longings. Each of us has a name given by our enemies and given by our love.
Each of us has a name given by our celebrations and given by our work. Each of us has a name given by the seasons and given by our blindness. Each of us has a name given by sea and given by death.
Tonight we remember those who we loved, who are not physically with us tonight, but are certainly here in memory and in love. We invite you to rise to honor the memory of your loved ones as their names are read.
We remember those who our class holds close to their hearts. Nettie and Jack Sternstein, Helen and Julius Zamkoff, Lillian and Joseph Herman, Frida and Al Black, Mia Bonomo, Mel Rosenberg, Liesl Spencer, Eric Spencer, Archie Bonomo, Patricia Thier, Nadia Guerra, Grandma Molly, Grandpa Harry, Uncle Perry, Grandma Ruth, Stephen Bursey, Linda Burkowski, Curtis Hausman, Edith Hausman, Margot Walton, Beatrice and Charles Cipriano, Stella and Simon Kravitz, Rachel and Manuel Joseph, Margaret and Anna DeFalco, Sylvia and Harry Katz, Sally and Nathan Hurwitz, Morris Giller, Yetta Giller, Sarah Regine Diamond, Moises Diamond, Stanley Rich, Ethel Rich, Benjamin Tanner, Ann Tanner, Ronald Rich, Paula and Gerald Diamond, Gloria and Albert Gelfand, Harry Edwab, Shirley Edwab, Laura Goldberg, Irving Darkowski,
Gloria and Harold Bernstein, Jack Siegel, Marilyn Siegel, Linda Freeberg, Lena Eisenberg, Phyllis Levitt, William Levitt, Lo Nocera, Stanley Mandelberg, Debbie Zacharin, Howard Davis, Elaine Davis, Helen Pearl, Elaine Shane, Stuart Sack, Phyllis Schloss, Brian Mahill, Ivan Saskel, Philip Kahn, Rosalind and Chaim Kahn, Yetta Fickelstein, Minnie and Morris Heiko, Nettie Matthias, Robert Workman, Ida Liss, James Wortman Sr. Please rise for the Mortons Commons.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabba, ve'alma divarach birutei v'yamlik malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, v'adalah v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shemei rabba v'varach le'olam u'olmei almayach. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei d'kusha richu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiram ne'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'momav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Please be seated.
Havdalah is a ritual that helps us to mark an ending of Shabbat and the beginning of a new week. We use wine, spices, and multi-wick candle to make the ending sweeter.
Tonight we mark the end of our confirmation year, recognizing that we have reached the next milestone in our formal Jewish education. Though it was not what we expected, we made it and we continue on our path as Jews, knowing that we will always keep learning as Jews.
We will be able to continue our studies here at Temple Shari Emeth in the 11th and 12th grade program. We will be able to take Jewish studies in college and visit Israel on birthright. Synagogues and Jewish communities will always offer us opportunities to study Torah and expand our Jewish knowledge.
Today we mark the accomplishment of Confirmation. As the next door to Jewish learning opens for us, it is a sweet moment filled with pride and joy, as well as anticipation for what lies ahead.
And so we join together in Havdalah, bringing sweetness to this very special moment. Please join with us in singing.
La 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la.
Shavuot Sameach. As you all know, this last year has been difficult to say the least, and although each one of us has a sad memory that we will keep with us, there has also been a lot of good that has come out of this challenging time. Even through all the hardships, we are still here together on this evening, socially distanced and masked, but still together. Tonight, we want to share with you what it has been like for us and Jewish teens to look back and reflect not only on the challenges we face, but also to share thoughts about the blessings we experienced this year. Everything was different for us this year. School, camp, Hebrew school, and after-school activities all had to be done in different ways. Even the way we spent time with the friends and family was not done in the usual way. Tonight, we want to share with you our reflections on what life has been like for us.
For many students this year, school has been a great struggle. From not paying attention to teachers during class to waking up a few minutes before online class, all of us can agree that this year is completely different from the rest. For most of the year, our reality has been staring at a computer screen for at least 7 hours a day for school, if you go to one of the Monmouth County vocational schools like me. Those hours add up fast. Even if you don't go to the vocational schools, you're still on for around 4 or 5 hours every day for class. Even during in-person classes, most of our classwork is done online on Google Classroom or other programs. With all the online classes, one of the biggest issues for teachers faced this year has been cheating. With so many kids without any way to see what is beyond the camera, there's no way for a teacher to tell whether or not a student has their phone or another monitor next to them to look up answers or to share their answers with their classmates. When the workload got rough and I wanted high grades, I will not deny that I've certainly been tempted to cheat many times, but I have resisted that temptation. What helped me to keep my academic integrity was Judaism. The 8th commandment, "Thou shalt not steal," also applies to lying. To lie is to steal someone's right to their own minds and thoughts. Deception is a form of stealing. To cheat would be to deceive your teacher by claiming a work done by others to be our own, even if the answers were given to us by a classmate or some other resource willingly. Even if you really want that A+ on your algebra test, that grade is worth nothing if you didn't work hard to get it on your own. Keeping your integrity is worth far more than a grade that you will forget about in a few months or years. In the end of the day, grades do not matter, but staying true to yourself does. Don't cheat.
Being involved and participating in extracurricular activities is a key way us teenagers stay active within our community and maintain the social aspect of our youth. The after-school sports us three take part in include soccer, basketball, and wrestling. These programs support our social, emotional, and academic development and provide a safe and encouraging environment for us to express ourselves and have fun. With COVID-19 and consequently schools closing our freshman year, most of our activities had to be put on hold. However, going into sophomore year, we got a little of normalcy back. In regards to soccer, we were able to have a somewhat normal season. We played games against other schools, had practices, and were able to form strong bonds with our teammates that we longed for during the season. Unfortunately, the season was much shorter than it usually is, and we ended up playing teams from the surrounding area more times than we do in a regular season. The deficit of not being able to travel far to other towns and experience the fun, long bus rides with our teammates was definitely disappointing.
In terms of basketball, we remained a team despite all of the challenges that were faced, such as canceled games, canceled practices, and being shut down. As a teenage girl during the pandemic, my focus was mental health. I was worried socially whether or not life would go back to normal. However, basketball was a way for me to get my mind off of the difficulties and focus on something else during the peak of the pandemic. While we did encounter many factors that held our team back, basketball granted each player on the team a sense of normalcy. During this past season, we played teams who had more experience than us, more practices than us, and who were more confident than us. Going into games against teams who had more experience created low self-esteem as a team. In the end, we were grateful that we got to play together and have somewhat of a typical season.
Lastly, we were not fortunate enough to receive a wrestling season worth participating in. Due to the close contact and inability to wear masks, it became increasingly difficult to maintain any aspects of normalcy within practices. We were required to stay within small groups while practicing, which limited us from getting a diverse training. Because we shared mats and risks, teammates would be held guilty attending practice due to the danger of spreading the virus. Many people, including myself, didn't participate in the season because of the incredibly high risk of exposure. The team barely got to practice, rarely attended matches, and got shut down numerous times due to positive cases. The team experienced more quarantine than practice days. For all three of us, going to Hebrew school every week and attended services helped us remember that a positive mindset during a tough and unfortunate situations is crucial. If we have learned anything from this year and our history as Jews, it's the importance of overcoming adversity.
A common conflict among myself and my fellow classmates was that of Hebrew school, not necessarily confirmation classes that will be discussed later. I am a madrich, a team volunteer, in a third grade religious school classroom for the temple. Religious school has been entirely virtual since the pandemic began back in March of last year. Having both experience in the classroom and in our class Zoom, I can definitely say that I like the former better, hands down. In-person Hebrew school is a distant memory of mine, but I remember some vividly fun times, as well as the challenges of teaching 8 and 9-year-olds a brand new language. If I'm to be completely honest, those challenges have been doubled, if not tripled, during our Zoom sessions. I remember taking out 1 or 2 students at a time to go next door and do a little reinforcement of the letters. Every week while we're online, we get a 30-minute window with half the class to go over our entire Hebrew lesson. As most children do, they do not grasp the material instantly and struggle to find out if those funny dots under the letter make it say ah or eh. And don't even get me started with the chafs and chet. The sociality of being in the Hebrew classroom with my fellow students and madrachim is also gone this year, and we have to resort by communicating through a bunch of ones and zeros. You're on mute. Can you turn your camera on? And thumbs up if you hear me. Our 3 snazzy new catchphrases this year. With that being said, as well as with brainly insinuations on your part, this year for religious school is unique, to put it nicely. Hopefully next year I can finally get to pour cups of juice, get to cut the challah, and most of all get to hold a warm wad of paper that is fresh out of the copy machine. If there's one thing I've learned from this year, it's that it's okay to look tired on Zoom, as I think we've all had enough screen time for the day.
This year has been a struggle for the whole world. When I started my first year of high school, I was expecting to finish it at the end of June, but clearly that did not happen. I had heard about the coronavirus going from state to state, but I had not realized how far it had spread until I was on my way back from golf practice and saw a post that it was in Manalapan. All schools had closed, and after a few months of online learning, there was something I got to look forward to: camp. Eagles Landing Day Camp has been my second home ever since I was 3. When COVID-19 first entered New Jersey, we were worried that camp was going to close. Luckily for us, it didn't, and it was actually one of the only camps in New Jersey to open its doors. The directors of the camp, Barry and Ruth Ann, who happen to be Jewish, did everything in their power to open. They practiced the values of Judaism every day at camp. The Jewish values they practice range from having many food options for those with allergies or dietary restrictions, as well as having a kosher option, to just everyone having a place to call home. Being Jewish at a predominantly Jewish summer camp taught me over the years how to be a responsible and respectful person. This past summer was very important for kids' mental health as well. They were stuck inside on electronic screens for months, and Barry and Ruth Ann knew this, which is why they chose to open up camp. They realized how important it was for the kids to be outside, as well as being able to interact with people other than their family members. I understood what they were going through because I was living the same reality that they were. As a counselor for second grade girls, I knew that this summer needed to be perfect for them, and I knew I had to create a summer for my campers that was as memorable as possible.
La 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 ya la 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 ya la la Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei beri hagafen borei beri hagafen la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la.
As teenagers, the pandemic reduced stress in some aspects of our life. The school workload was a little less, and many of us no longer were obligated to attend daily sports practices or go to our jobs. However, other aspects of our life became difficult. It was stressful navigating online school, and the loss of a daily routine was detrimental for some of us. What we worried about changed, and in comparison, these problems were much more grave. It was stressful worrying about the health of our parents, our grandparents, our friends, and our nation. The nature of isolation during the pandemic was particularly tough. It became harder to maintain friendships, and we lost those outlets that we relied on. It was easier to feel hopeless and easier to form bad habits. Many of us abandoned our typical sleeping, exercising, and eating routine, which also impacted our mental health. The Temple and Lessons of Judaism understood this all. It was a breath of relief being able to attend outdoor services. The Temple did a great job at providing mental health resources as well. Once confirmation began, the rabbi gave us her phone number and did a wonderful job at making sure we knew it was okay to reach out for help. This sense of community helped a lot as we continued to seek solace in this battle with pandemic life. I learned from the pandemic that life is unpredictable and uncontrollable, but we were given this incredible gift of adaptability.
Throughout the past year, I think it's safe to say this was one of the most challenging years for everyone. As we were all faced with an unknown pandemic, the stakes couldn't be higher with regards to all of our health. The COVID-19 pandemic has led to a dramatic loss of human life worldwide and presented an extraordinary challenge to public health. There hasn't been a day that goes by where we haven't thought or prayed for our loved ones' health. Either they're sick or in healthy conditions. We want the best for our community, family, and friends, which is why we all have to come together as a community and follow the guidelines of COVID-19 as much as we can to keep our community safe. As a Jewish teen, I have personally struggled regarding health. I have recently faced an unfortunate challenge as the doctors found a rare brain tumor. I had surgery in October to remove the tumor, however, they could only get 50% out due to the sensitive location. As some might find this as a setback, I find this as a motivation to overcome this obstacle and become the best version of myself. Throughout all of this, Judaism was a big part of my healing. My family and I turned to Judaism and prayed to the Misha Bera every night and prayed for not only my health, but for everyone who is in need. We also pray with the prayer book that was given special by Rabbi Pinkin. It was an incredible feeling of the support of our congregation as they mentioned my name every Friday night services during the Misha Bera prayer. These little things go a long way in the process of healing. All in all, this feeling of solidarity has become extremely beneficial as we try to seek support in the face of pandemic reality. The pandemic has taught me that life is unpredictable and troublesome, but with Judaism, our religion gives us a source of peace and comfort during these uncertain times.
This past year has been quite a challenge with hanging out with friends and being connected to our religious community. We've had to restrict ourselves from coming into close contact with others to keep not only ourselves but others safe. While we are doing what is best for our community and our world, not seeing our families and friends is not so great. Hanging out with friends has been really difficult because we are restricted to hanging out and seeing each other outside. We also have to socially distance, which restricts the activities we can do. In our religious community, we are a close-knit group of people. However, we've not been able to come together as a family in person, especially during the high holy days. Those services are a chance for people to reconnect with others that they wouldn't normally see on a regular day. And sadly, we could not attend these services in person, so some of those connections were not made. In spite of not physically being there, we were able to virtually stay connected. While not seeing each other in person is upsetting, getting to see everyone virtually is a great alternative.
Over the last year, I think it is safe to say that it was extremely difficult to keep in touch with the people that you used to see every day. Whether it was a school friend, sports friend, or even somebody you saw at work every day, it was really hard to communicate with people that you normally wouldn't see outside a specific activity. Though not seeing these friends was disappointing to many, it was also a good time to reconnect with people that live far or maybe you just hadn't seen for a while. With all other distractions coming to a halt, it was much easier to FaceTime or Zoom an old friend or distant family member. This was nice because it brought up old memories from a happier time that we could all think about. This also inspired me to make more of an effort to see these friends once the pandemic is over and we could all meet up again safely.
La 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 ya la 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 Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei v'samim borei minei v'samim la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la
Celebrating holidays with family is extremely challenging during the pandemic. Many different families have different comfort levels dealing with coronavirus, and it is hard accommodating everyone's needs. For my family, most of the people are at high risk, so we have to be extra careful when planning holidays. During the summer and fall, my family came together outside 6 feet apart. It was very challenging planning out where everyone was going to sit and making sure everyone was 6 feet apart. During the winter, we have been celebrating holidays on Zoom. Even though Zoom is a great website, it isn't the same as being together in person. I'm counting down the days when everyone gets vaccinated so we can all hang out again.
During COVID, we have all had to deal with some sort of disappointment. Whether it was missing out a school sport, an event you were excited for, or just missing out hanging with friends. All of us have had to deal with some sort of disappointment. For many of us, school sports were canceled last summer, which was something many of us were looking forward to. I know for me, I was looking forward to playing on the team with my brother. Since he was a senior last year, I missed out on that opportunity. Many of us has also missed out on school events, which for some included graduation. But even simpler than that, I think all of us have found ourselves missing day-to-day activities which we used to find boring and mundane. I think that due to all the activities and events that we missed during COVID, we all have a greater appreciation for what is truly important to us. Things like family, friends, and religion. And during these trying times, it was amazing to be able to fall back and rely on these things, whether it was spending more time with family or talking with friends online. And most importantly, knowing that no matter what happens, you still have your faith and your religion. You could trust there would still be services and religious practices, despite these hardships.
Although it can get easy to get lost in all the things COVID-19 has put an end to and the drastic changes it has made in our lives, Judaism teaches to look for the few positives in challenging circumstances. With my parents working from home and me attending school virtually for the majority of the school year, my house was pretty much always busy. It was definitely a big adjustment, now being with my family at home basically 24/7. Not being able to see my friends or go out as much left me with plenty of time to grow even closer with my family. Now that it was almost guaranteed we were all home at any given point, there was never an empty seat at family dinner in the evening like there used to be sometimes. On weekend nights, relaxing from a stressful week and watching a movie or our favorite show. Walking around the neighborhood with our dog together every day. Joining a temple Zoom or watching a film service together to celebrate a holiday. A lot of these things weren't possible before the pandemic, when we were all busier and leaving the house more often. Cherishing one's family is a key value of Judaism, and getting the chance to spend more time with them has helped me take that more to heart. This past year has undoubtedly been a tough one, but I'm grateful to have faced it with my family, and out of all the impacts COVID-19 has had on my life, I am happy to have been able to bond and grow with them.
La 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la.
With all the time we now had because of the lockdown, I'm sure all of us were looking for new ways to occupy ourselves and do something. For me, I wanted to take on some challenges and do things that intimidated me. Though it might seem odd, painting had always been daunting to me. I love drawing and creating, but the inability to erase or reverse what you have done with paint led me to never try it. So I decided to follow a tutorial, specifically one by Bob Ross, and challenge myself to adapt his carefree attitude and bold strokes of his painting style. Once I did one painting and was pretty happy with the result, I did another and another and another. With practice, my skills improved and I am now pretty confident in my painting abilities. Art is a large part of different cultures, especially in religions such as Judaism. With this new skill, I feel more connected to all my Jewish ancestors who use art to express their identities as Jewish people. Another skill that I picked up is bread making. Just like with painting, the process of bread making doesn't allow for any mistakes to be redone. You just have to work with whatever you make. Once I learned how to make a simple loaf of bread, I was able to start making more complicated breads such as challah. With my new ability to make challah, celebrating Shabbat is even more meaningful, especially after all the work it takes to make the bread. When I take a bite of challah I made after chanting the motzi, I feel excited to celebrate the Sabbath and rest.
So much about the past year has been depressing. The whole world felt topsy-turvy, muddled, miserable, wrong, and slow. There were some days when it was very easy to feel like this, but instead I decided to stay motivated and optimistic and to keep persevering. How did I do this? One way that I was able to do this was by spending time doing my favorite hobbies, like riding my bike, playing the drums and guitar, drawing, building Lego sets, and watching game shows. I'm not sure that being Jewish helped me with my hobbies, although I do get a lot of answers on jeopardy thanks to things I learned in Hebrew school, but I think Jewish people have always had to persevere, like Moses leading our ancestors through the desert and to Mount Sinai, where he received the 10 Commandments. Jewish people have always had to be motivated and optimistic and to get things done. I used motivation and optimism to ride more than 40 miles on my bike one day last June. I used to teach myself to play Memories by Maroon 5 on the guitar, a good choice since Adam Levine's Jewish too. And I'm pretty sure that I'll need a lot of motivation and optimism to put together 3,662 black and white pieces to build the Lego piano this summer. But I'm sure that I can do it because that's just what Jewish people always do.
Over the past year, our world has been deeply affected. A lot of bad and horrible things have occurred and impacted our everyday lives and those of our loved ones. Despite these bads, we saw some good come over because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Some may have gotten more time to spend with loved ones or talk to relatives from further away more often. Some may have, but one of the most impactful things that we saw was strangers helping strangers through volunteer work. It started with little things, as people took their time to check on neighbors or relatives who may have been alone and living in isolation during lockdown. But as the pandemic grew worse, the acts of gratitude became more frequent as well. People started to help others that were at a higher risk by grocery shopping for them or running to the pharmacy to pick up medication. Others started to volunteer their talents as people who sewed and produced masks, and companies that usually produce clothing or alcohol started to make masks and hand sanitizer as those products became more in demand. And as the pandemic surged on and we learned more about it, many people decided to take classes in order to help contact trace and now help others get vaccinated. These small acts that people took from their time and talents helped others to continue to help the world get through the pandemic together.
Finding ways to bond as a group can be really hard during this time, but the youth groups here have made it really simple. From socially distant bingo nights to Zoom baking sessions, the youth groups never failed to make gatherings fun. My first thought when I heard about all the things planned for this year was that it was impossible. I mean, I hadn't even stepped foot back in school yet. How would this work? Would anyone show up? Could it be safe? My perspective was changed after the first bingo game I went to. Although I never won, I did have a great time. I got to see friends I hadn't seen in almost a year and got to actually see this community that I had missed in person again. Even the online meetings brought a sense of togetherness that I didn't even think was possible. Without these, I wouldn't have been able to hang out with or meet new friends. Overall, I would say that the youth groups have made this year a lot more fun and helped people get out of their comfort zones during this time.
The coronavirus is a tough time for many, whether through the loss of their jobs or the loss of their deaths or the deaths of their loved ones. However, there have been a lot of blessings that happened during this time frame. As we were locked down, I had a lot of good times with my family. My brothers were both leaving for college, and this gave us a lot of time together before they left. Whether it be family board games, playing video games, or just having dinner together, we had lots of fun and made memories. Another area was my use of technology to stay close with my extended family. Lots of Zoom calls and time spent together virtually, and we found new ways to have fun.
When I learned that confirmation class was going to be online, I was ready to quit. Having spent much of the previous 6 months online, I did not want to spend an additional second looking at my computer screen. I was done. However, what I thought would be a dreaded chore became a source of comfort. In a year that has been so scattered, full of surprises and disappointments, I came to enjoy and look forward to our Tuesday night Zoom sessions. I got to hang out with kids I don't get to see regularly, but I've grown up with at Temple Shari. It was great to spend time with my friends and Rabbi Benkin. I really enjoyed seeing this confirmation service come together over the past few weeks as we've been busy planning it.
As we conclude, we all know This last year has been difficult. There's been a lot of positives and unexpected blessings that have come from it as well. Maybe we found a new hobby or a new friend. Maybe we connected with people we couldn't because of the distance. Maybe we learned that we were stronger and more flexible than we imagined. Maybe we had a chance to see more clearly what really is important in life. Even though there was a ton of hardship, we all pushed through and found a way to celebrate confirmation here in the parking lot with those we love. We will remember this time for the rest of our lives. The end of the pandemic will come, we will go back to school, and life will return to a new normal. But we will always have the memories of this year and how it's allowed us to grow in ways we never knew we would have to. We could not have done any of this without our parents, our families, our friends, and our teachers. Thank you all. Thank you for all you have done to help us make our way through this historical year.
They're eager to get to light their candles. This Shabbat, we started a new book of the Torah, the Book of Numbers. In Hebrew, the Book of Numbers is named for one of the first Hebrew words in the first Parsha, Bemidbar, which means in the wilderness. That's a pretty apt description for the past 15 months of this pandemic, and our students have eloquently described their experiences in the wilderness of the pandemic during our service today. How they maintained friendships, dealt with online school, found ways to keep busy and stay positive without their regular extracurricular activities, and cared for their mental health and the world around them. I know this isn't the year of confirmation class that you were all hoping for or expecting, but you have given us the greatest gift this year by being our guides through the wilderness. Knowing that I would see all of you online on Tuesday nights for our check-ins helped me get through this year, and you deeply inspired me with your commitment and compassion. You are thoughtful, poised, and eager to learn. You care deeply about each other and making the world a better place. You have persevered through a year of countless challenges and displayed resilience and maturity beyond your years. The rabbi and I commented during your last rehearsal that this service is like a diamond in the middle of a rough year. I hope you can appreciate the beauty of what you've created and accomplished today. We are so proud of you for reaching this milestone and so grateful to share this incredible moment with you and your families. When we finish a book of the Torah, as we did last week, we say Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazek, wishing each other strength, strength, and let us be strengthened. You all have shown admirable strength this year and helped strengthen all of us and the Jewish community. I think you know already, but we will always be here for you, as will the whole Jewish community and Temple Sheriyemeth. And we will be cheering you on as you continue to accomplish amazing things in the future. As you come to the end of your formal Jewish education, I want to thank you for a fabulous year of studying together, laughing together, and letting me be a part of your Jewish experience. On behalf of the Sisterhood, Men's Club, and the Temple, I am pleased to present to you later, they're sitting over there, so make sure you pick up your gifts. There will be a mezuzah, a menorah, and a tzedakah box for you to continue celebrating Jewishly at home. I also want to thank this class for their generous donation toward creating a COVID-19 memorial garden at Temple Sheriyemeth to honor the lives lost during the pandemic. This is just another example of your compassion for others and dedication to our community. Mazel tov to the confirmation class of 2021 and to your wonderful families on reaching this milestone in your Jewish education. As we continue to move through the wilderness together, may you go from strength to strength on the journey ahead.
We are going to try to light our candles, but this will be a funny lesson in futility. But we'll pretend we're good at that, right?
La 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei meorei ha'esh borei meorei ha'esh la 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 ya la 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 Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam המבדיל בין קודש לחול, בין אור לחושך, בין ישראל לעמים, בין יום השביעי לששת ילדי המעשר. ברוך אתה אדוני המבדיל בין קודש לחול. La 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 Shavua tov, 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 Shavua tov. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase.
First of all, I'm very excited because this is a very special book. Some of you out here are in this book. If you are in this book, raise your hand. If you were confirmed at Temple Shari Emeth, raise your hand. So some of you, we can go back and find your names. But this book has the name of every person, starting with the class of 1970. That was Susan Kamen. I'm still trying to find her. She's the only one in that class. That must have been a very lonely year. But now, in the back of this book, are all of your names. You are now part of the history of Temple Shari Emeth, and perhaps in another 20 years, you will see your own children's names in this book. Probably more like 25, I think. This book gets kept in the Ark, and you will always be in the heart of our congregation. You know me, you know I like to choose stories for you, and so I have a story for you about believing in yourself. A professor stood before his class of 30 senior molecular biology students about to pass out the final exam. He said, "I have been privileged to be your instructor this semester, and I know how hard you have all worked to prepare for today's exam. I also know most of you are off to medical school next fall, and I am well aware of how much pressure you are under to keep your grades up. And because I know you are all capable of understanding the material, I am prepared to offer an automatic B to anyone who would prefer not to take this final exam. Now, how many of you would take the automatic B and not take the exam? It's okay. I think I would. The relief was audible as a number of students jumped up to thank the professor had departed from the class. He then looked at the handful of students remaining and said, "Any other takers, gang? This is your last opportunity." And 2 more students looked at each other, got up, and they left. After the exodus, 7 students remained. The professor closed the door and took attendance. He unsealed his envelope, looked into the face of each of his students, and handed out the final exam. "Please keep the exam papers face down on the table until I say it's time to turn them over," he warned the students, and they obeyed dutifully. When all the tests had been handed out, the professor returned to his podium, looked at his stopwatch, and announced, "You have 15 minutes to hand back your answers. Please proceed with the questions." The students turned over the exam papers and found 2 sentences typed on the front of each. "Congratulations," he said. "You've just received an A in this class. Keep believing in yourself." Amazing. Remember that your success in life will start, I'm verklempt already. Gosh. Will start with believing in yourself. You need to have faith that you can do whatever you put your mind to. Don't be afraid to fail or make mistakes, because Judaism teaches us that nobody is perfect, and that when you make mistakes, which you will, if you own them and learn from them, the future becomes better. Sir Edmund Hillary, the first person to reach the summit of Mount Everest, said, "It's not the mountain we conquer, but ourselves." As we celebrate the holiday of Shavuot tomorrow, the day when we imagine that we have climbed the mountain and are standing at the top ready to receive the law and ready to reaffirm our covenant and partnership with God to bring holiness into the world, we know that that was not a moment about celebrating the journey to the top. It was a time to celebrate what it means to be a Jew, how we can believe in ourselves and embrace Torah. And so I want to share with you some thoughts from Torah that I hope you will take through your life. Torah teaches us that we are created, each of us, in the image of God, and that each of us has a unique purpose to fulfill in this world. And my students, I hope that you will cherish your uniqueness and find your sacred purpose, because each of you has one. Torah teaches us that we are all related, all from the first family of Adam and Eve. So wherever you are, whoever you meet, always look to make connections, because those people are your relatives. Torah teaches us to take responsibility to fix all the silly brokenness in the world around us, to search for those in need and make a difference in their lives, care for the environment, house the homeless, feed the hungry, comfort the bereaved, make the world a better place, because you are in it. The Torah teaches us to count our blessings, never forget what's really important and enduring in the world. As you climb your way up to Mount Sinai today, metaphorically, we stop to celebrate your ascent. From your first days in Hebrew school, or for some of you from your first days in the ELC, to your B'nai Mitzvah, and now to your confirmation, today is a scenic overlook moment to stop and look out and pay attention to all that you have accomplished. But the climb will continue as you continue to grow and learn as Jews. And I hope you will go on to our high school program for 11th and 12th graders on Tuesday night, and that we will have pizza together. And I hope next year you will come to the rack with us, because it was okay online, but it's so much better in person. I hope you will participate in Yoshi Seniors and help as Madrechim in the religious school. I hope you will go off to college and find the local Hillel and Jewish community and take classes in Jewish studies and go to Israel on birthright trips. This, like B'nai Mitzvah, is not an end, but rather just a moment to stop, look around, and celebrate who you are and your growth as Jews. You are so much more mature and thoughtful than you were at 13, and I cannot wait to see who you will be in 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. Your class was robbed of the chance to learn and gather as all classes before you did, and yet you showed up every week online to learn and share and grow, and I was worried all the time that I was going to show up and I would be alone on Zoom, but I never was. I worried all the time that our time together was challenging, and I am so proud of you for sticking with it, for sitting in your discomfort with it all and making the best of the year. Watching you grow up has been a privilege and an honor, and this year I've seen your strength, your determination, your creativity, and your deep connection to each other and to Judaism. You shared your hearts with us this evening, your inner struggle with what this year has been, and made yourselves vulnerable in doing so. And that is a real gift. You are smart, kind, caring individuals who have so much to give to the world and the Jewish community. You have sustained each other this year, and I thank you for sustaining me as your teacher as well. I want to take a moment to thank those who enabled us to be here tonight for this celebration. The members of the class committee, Mindy Gelfond, Allison Black, Nancy DeFalco, and Deborah Bonomo. To those who volunteered to help today, Marion Kastner and Janine Tankus. I want to thank our staff for always being ready to pivot, and to all that you have added to this special moment, Cantor Wally, Melissa Pescatori, Stuart Brown, and our amazing Martine. And finally, I have to thank my Micah and especially Glenn for organizing the streaming and the picture today. This day would not have been possible or as special without everyone's generosity and support. Thank you especially to all of you, the parents and the grandparents. Nothing is more important than the partnership we share as we all work to create a strong Jewish future through our children. And we thank you for the gift you have made to the temple so that we may create a small memorial garden to remember this year and those who were taken too soon by COVID-19. Life is a test in many ways, my students. Again, have faith in yourself and always do your best. Remember that your heritage and your tradition will give you footing, guidance, and strength to climb any mountain. I'm so really proud of you and very grateful to have been your teacher this year. Okay, enough. We end Shabbat each week by welcoming Elijah. He is one who's supposed to help to bring a better future, a time of peace and harmony. Remember, every day, that each of you is Elijah's partner in this world, that Elijah needs you. Wherever you go, whatever you do, leave things better than how you found them. And one day, together, we can create a messianic time, the one that our ancestors dreamed of, but the future lies in you. Mazel tov. And mazel tov to all of you. And so with that, we welcome Elijah by singing him into our presence.
Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishmi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimhera B'Yamenu, Yavo Eleinu, in Mashiach ben David, in Mashiach ben David.
and to confirm your faith in Judaism by joining me in the words of the Shema, the affirmation of one God. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. And the cantor and I share words of blessing with you.
Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God's countenance shine on you and be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom.
May God be with you, guiding and protecting you all the days of your life. And may you and your loved ones grow very, very old together in a world filled only with peace. And let us all say, Amen. And when we come to a special moment, we always say a blessing, and we thank God for giving us life, for sustaining us, and allowing us to reach this special time. Please join us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh, lazman hazeh. Say why not? And here we go. Siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov. Yehelanu, 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 ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu. Israel, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecho Israel, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecho Israel.
Mazel tov. Please be seated. Thank you for joining us. Those of you who are in the parking lot, just stay right here. We'll give you instructions as to what's next. But those of you who have joined us online, thank you. And have a very, very happy Shavuot.